Welcome back, Little Big Heroes. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at some of the lingering questions surrounding Dreams PS4 straight from the developers themselves. If you enjoyed today's video, why not give us a like? If you're new to the channel, subscribe to become a Little Big Hero, and don't forget to click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our latest content. Last month, in October, Dreams was heavily featured on Game Informer with a series of videos showcasing all sorts of new info and gameplay. Some of you may have already watched everything they have served up, and I realise this video is perhaps a little late, but considering that here on Little Big Animation we will be heavily Dreams focused in the near future when they finally reveal a release date, we felt it was best to cover everything possible for anyone who hasn't dived so deep into Dreams yet, and for some of our other viewers on the channel who may not have heard of Dreams at all. So let's get to it. Game Informer hosted a special podcast inviting two of the main devs from Media Molecule, Siobhan Reddy and Healey, to clear up some of the questions rattling around the minds of the eager future community. The first thing which is heavily demanded is not only a release date for the game itself, but for the beta, which was announced previously as 2018. Unfortunately, that still seems to be the case, as they didn't shed any light on when exactly in 2018.
So within this year, are you leaning more sooner or later?
Well, there's not much left to the year anyway, is there? So it'll definitely be before
the end of the year.
God damn it, you guys!
VR support won't be included in the beta, and neither will online multiplayer, but you can still play local couch co-op with another controller and compete against others via online leaderboards.
Online multiplayer, no.
Not online multiplayer.
No, but there'll be co-op.
Co-op, couch.
Co-op.
And obviously there's always asynchronous online multiplayer,
Yeah.
as in you can play the same levels and try and beat each other's scores and things.
At the moment, there will be sign-ups to enter the beta, and until they state otherwise, there will be infinite invites, so if you're interested in the beta, keep updated here on Little Big Animation, and we'll break the news here and on Twitter as soon as we can.
So yeah, so there'll be sign-ups, and I don't think we've quite figured out what the limit will be, or if there will be a limit yet, so that's kind of what we're figuring out right now.
As well as the traditional story levels, the final game will also include small mini-games across a wide selection of genres, which can be pulled apart and analysed, acting as a template for you to learn from.
The final game will come with obviously some example content that we've made in the form of a story, but as well as that, there's some extra small little arcade games that we've made, which we let you pull apart, dive into and remix, just go in there and figure out how we've done things. So that will include a few different little genres.
If you remember the pod from Little Big Planet, in Dreams you can make many of these, and each of your levels and larger gaming/film projects will have their own unique home space to decorate in order to make it feel unique to that specific project.
So so within our story that we've made, we've got 3 kind of themes. So there'll be a home space for each of those themes.
Mm-hmm.
Plus there's an extra one. So initially there's going to be about 4 different ones you can choose from.
And a blank one.
And so
a blank one.
the home space is basically like the ship in Little Big Planet, right? Or like the
Yeah, it's a bit like
toys.
your pod. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
except you
a
could-
big pod, because
So
you can do
have
sort of more in
You
there.
can have a few of them though.
Yeah.
There is no pre-made water in the game, which initially confused a lot of people, as there was a level demonstrated which clearly had some stunning water effects and physics. But fear not, as with everything else in Dreams, you are free to make anything you want. Yes, that includes water. How it looks, how it behaves, and how the player character reacts to it is entirely up to you. If you put the work in, anything is possible.
So you can totally do that. We haven't actually got a specific water object or anything in the game. So you're just using the same tricks that other games makers have to use. So you'd use like an animated surface that your player can walk through, and then when they're in it, they sort of hover above the ground.
If you have been keeping up to date with the Create streams directly from Media Molecule, you will have noticed that they have been using Move controllers quite frequently. These were confirmed to be used exclusively for creating, so you can't use them to play levels, even in VR. The DualShock is the only option to play at the moment, but perhaps that will change with future updates, allowing you to create Move-specific levels, whether that includes VR or not.
At the moment, the Move controllers is really for create mode and sculpting. We have got a play mode in there as the testing thing, but I think what we'll actually do is we'll we'll release all the functionality that lets you fully wire up the move controllers when we do the VR drop, I think.
When you say the VR drop, so VR might not be there at launch?
Did I say something bad? Well, we already said that before, didn't we? No, this is I'm talking about the beta.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the beta, the VR probably won't be there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's right. Yeah.
Stuck playing a level you just can't figure out. Enjoying a level which takes many hours to complete, which is perhaps impossible for you to finish in one sitting? Don't worry, you can save your progress within each level to ensure that you can return exactly where you left off anytime you want.
If people will play my level and then they come back to it later, can they save their progress?
Yes.
Yes.
Big game changer actually is. Sounds really boring, but it's a global variable gadget.
Yep.
So it's a way of you transferring data from level to level, essentially.
That was a major problem in Little Big Planet. You would often have to restart a level from scratch if it was too long, or if the game crashed, you would have no other option but to restart. You can see a lot of people creating fully fledged games at some point, so a proper robust save system would be absolutely necessary. Ever thought about creating your own randomly generated game? There's plenty out there for inspiration with the likes of Minecraft, No Man's Sky, etc, etc. Well, did you know that with all of the possible genres, randomly generated is in fact one of them?
I'm doing that right now, actually, funnily enough.
And it's working okay?
It's, yeah. As in, I'm randomly generating the landscapes that you sort of play across.
Having all sorts of different levels to play is already something to get excited about, but the fact that some levels can be played more or less infinitely, that opens up a whole new exciting can of worms. If you find worms or worms in cans exciting. One question which will interest a lot of YouTube channels such as ourselves is, can we monetize our Dreams videos?
Yeah, we just need to look into that more. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
We obviously want to support that.
Yeah,
so.
There is clearly a lot of legal issues to work out, so this question is still to be properly answered, but they are looking into it, and it's clear that they want people to be as free as possible without copyright strikes. It's a very grey area in general, not just with Dreams. Many video game companies choose not to flag your gameplay videos, but they do in fact have every right to do so if they please. Little Big Planet gives you that freedom, so I assume Dreams will too. As a smaller channel, we can't comment too much on the whole monetization topic, but we remain hopeful that everything will work out smoothly. There were a minority of people who were always put off by the art style of Little Big Planet, from the look and feel of the Sackboys to the various materials such as wood, cardboard, sponge, etc. Even though we could argue all day about why neither of these things are a real problem, at least now in Dreams there isn't really an art style you have to break out of.
There's so many looks. Yeah. It's
it's
definitely not all just cute at all.
It's very versatile. You can do a lot of different things. So that's going to be one of the exciting things to see is just what people do actually.
Yeah.
Many different levels and pieces of art have already been created by the devs, and it's proven that it's perfectly possible to create something with realism in mind. Creating animations using Sackboy was always a challenge. Until Little Big Planet 3, we never really had a proper collection of animation tools. Dreams, however, offers a traditional animation suite, allowing you to keyframe each limb, making more subtle animations easier than ever.
You've also got keyframe editing. So anyone that's done any sort of CG animation will understand what that means, but you've basically got timelines, keyframes and curves, so that you can basically animate to your heart's content. You can go very deep and very geeky if you want.
The tools on offer really are something which you would expect to see in professional animation software. It's something that we are very excited about here at Little Big Animation, and we hope we can get some really nice animations out to all of you as soon as we can. Creating clothing on your character is perfectly possible, but to animate those, for example in the wind, wouldn't be quite as simple and will require some little workarounds to get the desired result. Here is Marcus Healey himself to explain more.
All the meshes, all of the sort of sculptures and things are like solid sculptures. We don't have any boning.
Wait, what? No boning? Whose idea was that? If you enjoy 3D printing, it's still a thing in Dreams, but at the moment it's only being used internally and may not be a feature that's available to the public, at least not until after launch.
It is still a thing. We're printing stuff all the time. Whether there's going to be a button on there from day one that lets you magically print something out of your PlayStation 4 CD port. So
That's to come. But it's still we're keeping it alive internally to just so it doesn't rot.
Sorry guys, you'll have to wait a little longer to make your dreams come to life.
Boning.
Loading between levels should be extremely quick, mere seconds actually, as the game is always loading in the next level whilst you're playing the current one.
Oh, they're great actually.
Yeah.
They're really fast because if you're dream surfing, which is where we sort of make an automatic playlist for you, there's always room for 2 levels in memory. So while you're playing one, it's streaming the other. So there's literally no wait for those, so long as you're in a level for more than like 20 seconds.
In Little Big Planet, this wasn't the case, so you had to load everything right before playing, which wasn't ideal, but this new method sounds much more efficient, keeping the game flowing at all times. The great thing about Dreams is that every genre is possible, with the exception of MMOs, the massively multiplayer online games.
I mean, I think when we fully attack the multiplayer online side of things, that's when we'll nail all that stuff, but we've not even talked about that bit yet, to be honest with you. So.
Is there any feature or tool that specifically was not included in the game? Maybe something that was too complex, too simple, redundant, totally abstract, or was brought up as an option but not put into Dreams for any reason?
Well, boning, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a very common thing in computer games to make.
That's all for today's video, but stay tuned for more Dreams coverage. If you enjoyed today's video, why not give us a like? If you're new to the channel, then subscribe to become a little big hero. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you're kept up to date with all of our latest content. See you in the next video!
Boning.